Welcome back to Marco's Minute, where every week I give you a handicapping tip in around a minute. And as my smart-ass producer points out every week that it's closer to 2 minutes, I tell him, just like I tell my wife, sometimes you get surprised and it goes 2 minutes. All right, guys, let's get to this week's tip, and it's my Dream Crusher theory. Now, I started this several years ago, a lot with the BCS rankings and such. I look for a team that first week they lose a game that puts the national championship run in jeopardy. These teams have a goal, they're rolling, they're undefeated, they're thinking about playing in the national championship game, but they suffer that first loss that pretty much ends their national championship hopes. To me, that is the Dream Crusher. I would look to go against those teams in years past. But I decided to do the Dream Crusher theory this week and talk about it because I got to make an adjustment. And in handicapping, you always got to work on the fly to what's happening now. This year, we've got the 4-game playoff format instead of just 2 teams. And last week, we had several teams in the top 10 get upset. Normally, this would be a field day for me looking at teams to go against. But I feel now with the new format that you got to wait till these teams out of the power conferences loses their second game. Because I'll tell you right now, with 4 teams getting in, there will be teams with 1 loss make the format if they're out of one of the power conferences, SEC, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10. Those conferences always are going to get a look for teams with a 1 loss. Now, I still will go with the same system if we have a team out of a lesser conference that's undefeated and is in the top 10, like in years past where we've had BYU's, Boise State's, a couple years back TCU. Those teams, they got to run the table to get into the top 4. So if they lose a game, then the Dream Crusher theory comes into play. Don't forget about the Dream Crusher at the end of the season. For the bowl games, you can use it as well. If a team loses their last regular season game and it costs them the shot of getting into their conference championship game, or they get into their conference championship game and lose, and that knocks them out of the 4-game format, these teams have a tendency not to show up in the bowl games. Just look at Alabama last year against Oklahoma, and if you go back 2 years ago, look at Florida against Louisville. That is the Dream Crusher Theory 2.0. We made an adjustment. Hope you enjoy it. I'll be back next week with another Marco's Minute or so.